Hello. My name is Houston, and this is Media Mood Board. Yes, my name's Houston. This is Media Mood Board, a show about hyper-specific entertainment lists. This week, we're doing my November watch list, the games, books, and movies that I'm interested in getting into in November. First is I picked up Jon Fosse's new novella. It's super small, as you can see, which I'm excited about. I read the first entry in his Septology series a few months ago, and then he ended up winning the Nobel Prize in Literature or something like that. But because of me, this is a story about someone who's just taking a drive at night. It's aimless. He's just taking turns. And it's kind of just describing the drive, which on its face isn't that interesting, but I trust his voice, if that makes sense. Now, the Septology series doesn't have any punctuation outside of commas, but this one does. Whoa. Huh? That's the only thing I've read by him, so maybe he normally uses punctuation, but this one looks like it's a lot of short sentences instead of commas. As an example, I was taking a drive. It was nice. It felt good to be moving. I didn't know where I was going. I was just driving. Boredom had taken hold of me. Usually, I was never bored, but now I'd fallen prey to it. I couldn't think of anything I wanted to do, so I just did something. I got in my car and drove, and when I got somewhere, I could turn right or left, and I turned right. And at the next place, I could turn right or left, and I turned left, and so on. I kept driving like that. So that's basically how this story is going to go for, less than 100 pages. So super excited about just sitting down and blasting through this in one go. Next up is Graham Greene's The End of the Affair. The reason that I first picked this up was just the cover. I saw it at Barnes & Noble's, and I really loved the cover. I was like, oh, okay, what's this? Looks a little Brideshead Revisited or something, right? So when I started looking into it, it even got more interesting. It was a novel written in 1951. Apparently, it's part of Graham Greene's Catholic series. If you've been following this channel at all, you know I'm interested in kind of good faith representation in books and media. The basic plot of this is it's right after World War II, and there is a trio of people who all have a relationship with each other, and it kind of just documents their life and journey. Very slice of lifey. I love the covers are so good. I love covers. Speaking of covers, this next one, The Dimensions of a Cave, I sought out also because of its cover. I have a spreadsheet that I keep all the information of the books that I read, the author, where they were born, the publisher, etc. And since we're reaching the end of the year, what I like to do is sort by publisher to see who maybe I've read the most from, and then look at their catalog from that year to see what else they've released that maybe I've missed or hasn't gotten wide appeal, but is interesting to me. So this year, the publisher that I've read the most from is Farr, Straus, and Giroux, or at least that I liked. I'm probably butchering that name. That's the publisher that I've read the most books from that I rated highly. So I looked through their new offerings, and this was the one that caught my eye. This is a sci-fi mystery story about this investigative journalist who is looking into modern-day military interrogation techniques. They find out there's this new interrogation procedure which simulates reality for the person being interrogated, and they start looking into it, and it unravels this web of conspiracy. Turns out people he used to know were involved in it or have gotten lost in that world. I always love a good sci-fi. I love a good world. I love big idea things. I'm third in line in the library for it, so we'll see if I get to it this month or not. And the last book I'm going to try and read this month, which Rosie has already pre-ordered, is Iron Flame, the Fourth Wing sequel. I really enjoyed the last book. It felt very Hunter x Hunter, Naruto. It felt very like shonen anime, and the world really blew up at the end of the last book. So I'm interested in seeing what further worlds and powers and things she'll explore in this new one. Last month, I was out and about a lot because of the New York Film Fest, so this month I'm trying to stick inside a little bit more. I will be trying to catch some of the wider release screenings of movies that I wanted to see at the fest but didn't. Movies like Priscilla, May December, Anatomy of a Fall, The Killer. I hope Evil Does Not Exist gets a wider release, but that may not be till next year, so we'll see. But there are other movies outside of that I'm also interested in seeing. So The Holdovers is this academic comedy drama about this prep school teacher who is forced to stay on campus over the holidays to take care of this troubled teen who doesn't have someone to go home to over the holidays. They're really trying to set a specific 70s to 90s tone, and that even their trailer has the old school movie announcer. I'm really interested in the tone setting that they do and how they implement that through the whole movie. Plus, this movie just seems cozy. Wish is the newest 3D animated Disney movie. It's about a girl who wishes on a star, and then that star comes to life and comes down as her companion. I know it's not cool to like Disney, but I truly think that they have the funds and the history to draw in some really great creatives, and I'm always cheering for them to push through the bureaucracy to make strides and make interesting and new discoveries and push the medium, and sometimes they really do get to. So I'm excited to see a Disney movie whenever it comes out, and this is no exception. I'm excited to see how they play with the kind of Spider-Verse of it all. And then this is one that I'm hoping to see because of its epic scale. I'm not a huge Joaquin Phoenix fan, but Napoleon, the new Ridley Scott movie, I don't know that much about it, except it's just a biopic about Napoleon. Nothing I've seen in the trailers makes me go, oh my God, I gotta see that now. It's a historical epic that's got a lot of money behind it, so there's going to be some interesting parts to it regardless. November, for whatever reason, to me, also has a sense of schooliness to it. It has a sense of like academia. It has a sense of like focus. So one thing that I really want to do this month is dive deep on a couple directors that I've been meaning to. I won't get through all of their stuff, obviously, but I just want to take a few from each. The three that I'm really mainly interested in are Alice Rohrwacher. She directed La Chimera, which was a movie that I really wanted to see during the fest, but I wasn't able to. And I've only heard good things about the rest of her work. They're kind of slice of life with bits of magic and fantasy in it. Everything that I've seen from it just looks super fun, and so I want to dive into her filmography. Seems like an obvious one, but Alfred Hitchcock. I'd really only seen his big ones like Rear Window, Vertigo, all of that, and it's like, these are good. I also watched the Hitchcock Presents TV show, but I recently saw some of his British work as well as some of his more like stagey things before those later works, and man, if I don't love it. It's such an obvious headline. Alfred Hitchcock is good, but I'm hoping to dive into some of his older stuff this month because I've had so much fun with movies like Rope or The Lady Vanishes. I'd also like to watch a few more from someone who I would consider one of my favorite directors, Robert Bresson. I've seen about 4 or 5 of his movies so far. My favorites are The Trial of Joan of Arc and A Man Escaped. So I'm really interested in diving into some of his other movies. This month on the Criterion channel, they have a curated selection of some of his other works. I've watched the majority of them, but I'm going to go in and fill in the blanks of the ones that I haven't seen from that list. Speaking of Criterion channel, if I have time, last month they had a pre-code horror block, which I absolutely loved everything that I saw from it. This month they have a pre-code divas block. So I'm interested in also diving into those because they're just so kinetic and full of life. And I'm just super excited to maybe dip my toe into a few of those. All right, let's talk about games. So in October, I finally put the nail in the coffin of Armored Core. I'll probably still return to it, but I'm kind of finished with it for now. I'll say a little bit more on it next episode, but long story short is I enjoy the characters more than I do the gameplay. So the first thing that I'm going to be playing this month is Alan Wake 2. Now, I've already started playing this a little bit, and I am enjoying it. The basic story is you're an FBI agent going to investigate this, what appears to be a series of cult killings. You go to this small Twin Peaksy style town where the murders occurred, and a name starts popping up over and over and over, which is this famed horror novelist, Alan Wake. He disappeared under mysterious circumstances in that town a long time ago, and a lot of like horror fans make pilgrimages to the town. This is a sequel to an older game, which kind of has a cult status. I played it around the time it came out, but didn't really enjoy it. But I am enjoying what I'm playing of this so far. The first part is literally just you're walking around and putting together clues, which is fun. My complaint with it so far is just a little bit hand-holdy with the clues that it shows you, and then it kind of wants you to put them together in an exact way. The way that they have the detective system work is you'll walk around a crime scene and observe clues, and then you'll go into what's called her mind place, where you press a button, you go into her mind, and it kind of looks like a log cabin, and you can kind of like thumbtack your mental images on the wall to solve the mystery or figure out what to ask next. But the game, a lot of it's just you talking to people and looking around and trying to unravel what's going on here. But it's very pretty, so far very fun. It doesn't, from what I've read, it's not very long. I went in thinking, will I need to play the first one to understand this? And I know that there are videos that are like, recap, this is what happened on the other one. The author that has gone missing that they're talking about is the protagonist from the first game. But I kind of think the storytelling style is interesting if I have no information on him and I just treat that as kind of a background. So I'm enjoying that so far. And after that, on the complete other side of the spectrum, is a game that just got its fan translation out. I'm super pumped to play. It's Boku no Natsuyasumi 2. This is a series that had huge popularity in Japan, but never came over to the States. I only recently learned about it maybe last year through this YouTube review of the first game. It just made me so excited to play it and hope that a patch came out soon so that we could play it in English. And just a few days ago, it did. There's a couple of entries in this series, but they all have the same premise. You are a city boy, and you're shipped off for a week with your relatives in the country, and you're just a little kid wasting a week. It's just a chill vibes game. You're running around fishing. You're finding bugs. It's a static camera angle, which is interesting too, kind of like Resident Evil. So it's literally just a super chill game. It'll like literally do you just like fishing or something, you know what I mean? And I'm really interested in the sense of place this creates. I really love the idea of trying to gamify something that's chill, something that's vibey, that seems super, super fun. One of my favorite games is Shenmue, and my favorite parts of that game are its more chill elements. At one time, you had to get a part-time job and drive around a forklift for a majority of the second half of the game, and that's my favorite part of that game. Alan Wake 2 actually reminds me of LA Noire, which was this game by Rockstar, the guys who made Grand Theft Auto, except it was this kind of like noir 50s detective story in Hollywood. And my favorite part of that game was just driving around the streets obeying the traffic laws, you know? That's the that's the kind of annoying player that I am. So I'm super excited to jump into this game. The second one, the one that got fan translated, is regarded as the most successful one in the series. So I'm super excited to jump into it. Well, you made it. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw here, you can also follow us on Letterboxd or subscribe here on YouTube. I'll be back next week with another hyper-specific entertainment list. My name's Houston. This is Media Mood Board. Bye.